Hello and thanks for joining us once again on Punters Inside Run. Bit of a mixed bag for you this weekend. We've got a couple of Group 2 races up at Eagle Farm as their carnival really starts to take off. We'll look at racing at Rosehill and also at Sandown. Alex Donnelly from codebet.com.au. Mick Sharkie joins me as always, gentlemen. I guess it's been a funny week in racing, hasn't it? It's been a sad week, as we all know, with the tragic death of Dean Holland. So it's just I'm not sure how to feel as we move forward, which I guess we have to do.
Puts everything into context, doesn't it? And you know, we're sitting here trying to back winners and find winners, but a family's sort of coming to grips with losing their father and their brother and their partner and everything else. It's a horrible situation.
It does feel a bit weird to just be pushing on and sort of being like, oh, well, you know, it goes on. It's just like, you know, maybe we could sit back for a week and just sort of let it simmer and take everything in stock and see how we're going forward. One
positive to come out of it, the racing community has got together and the GoFundMe situation for the family has been wonderful to watch.
It's pushing $1 million.
It's over $1 million.
Over $1 million. Well, that's incredible. And it's not the first time we've seen that sort of generosity and support for people in the racing industry that have been affected by tragedy. So, yeah, the racing community does get around each other in moments of hardship, for sure.
Yep, they certainly do. Well, as we said, we're going to look at a couple of Group 2s at Eagle Farm. That is the Guineas and the Victory Stakes. We'll also look at the cards, get the best bets from the boys at Rosehill and Sandown. So let's kick off with the racing at Eagle Farm. We'll start with the Queensland Guineas. It's a $350,000 Group 2 race, and Kovalika's the fave, was pretty impressive. Has won 4 times in 5 runs, Alex.
Yeah, sort of a slaughter to instructions first up, getting back to last from the gate and then just rattling home. You almost feel if James McDonald took a spot early in that race, the horse would have won. Form has stacked up out of it well, and you just sort of go back to last prep when he won the Grand Prix. It's just like, well, there's your Queensland Derby favourite, and he's come back and already asserted those claims, and a win here probably says, yeah, who's going to beat me in the Derby in a couple of weeks' time?
The fortune teller was impressive, winning the Carbine at Randwick on that bog track at the championships.
Yeah, he was, and then he came out of a race last week in preference for this, so they're looking to up their sights a little bit on what was an even sort of race at Hawkesbury last week on a track that was probably chopping out, looking for better ground here, but there are some late showers forecast in Queensland on Saturday, so maybe it's a similar situation with the track.
And the Vowels has won 5 in a row.
Yeah, going really well.
But drawn wide, can we buy a consonant?
Its form does tie in well when you sort of go through it. It's got that Street Gossip form through Wolverine, and Street Gossip obviously came out last week and smashed them up in the fillies. So do you think that form line is just a little bit lower than horses like Kovalika and the Fortune Teller? I suppose barrier 16, you've got to take one on, and that sort of looks the one for me.
Where'd you land?
Landed with Kovalika on top, as I said, slaughter to instructions first up. Sectionals late were fantastic. That form through Atmosphere, who was runner-up in that race, was franked to a degree last week. I know Hawaii 5-0 was in another race, but at least it ran second. Gets a similar sort of ride again, but Nash on board. Bigger track such as Randwick and Eagle Farm, that all suits, and I really like him stepping up to the mile. He's unbeaten at a mile and beyond.
And second and third?
Got Yusuke in for second, rolls forward. Gassed out late, fresh, and was just run down there. Bred to get further and seems to be pretty good odds, and Damien Thornton doing a good job already up in Queensland. And I've got Perfect Thought in for third. Belted them in the Carbine Club, went up to a mile last prep. Just a bit of a run first up, shall we say, but drier deck and up to the mile, much more suitable.
Shark?
The Kiwis come to Queensland and often get a really good result, Matty. Whitetack number 7, I know he's sort of $14, $15. He was first up for 5 weeks going into that Daybreak Lover, sort of in behind them, never really got a run, got bumped sideways at one point in the straight, just kept finding the line. I think he'll really improve into this race. He's a great each-way bet for me. Kovalika's the one to beat, absolutely, and a rightful Queensland Derby favourite. I'm going with the Vowels for third, number 5. I think, again, off a little bit of a freshen up. Beat Tapple Doodle Doo. Tapple Doodle Doo went to Sydney, won the Tulloch. You know, beat Major Beale, who won the Derby. So I think the form's good around the Vowels.
I've got Kovalika to beat the Fortune Tellers we saw, and the Vowels, sorry, in front of the Fortune Teller. If we can get a good track for the Vowels, unbeaten 5 for 5, and Fortune Teller beaten just over length in the Caulfield Guineas, so has talent. So we move on to our next race, the Victory Stakes, a $300,000 Group 2 race. Private Eyes, the sprinters here, wait for age. Forget running the TJ.
Yeah, completely. Got pushed through the fence on the turn by Shelby 66, and that was after a really good run in the Newmarket. Would any of these run second in Everest? Don't think so. So it sort of looks like if he turns up well and good, he's probably going to win the race.
All right, we might get straight into your tips then for this race.
Yeah, I do have Private Eye on top. I was tipping him to win the All-Age Stakes. I think this race is a weaker event than that. Don't think any of these, as said, would run second in an Everest, let alone fourth in a Newmarket with top weights. The drier track will be suitable. Hopefully not too many of those showers that Shark has mentioned, given we were on a heavy track in the TJ. Not a noted trial horse, but did like his trial a couple of weeks ago, and really good speed expected with Rothfire, Holyfield, Prince of Boom there. From barrier 3, he can just sit behind the hot speed again, sort of similar to what he was in the Stradbroke last week when he was like on speed out of nowhere. If he gets a similar run, he can win again. For second, I've got Paul Laley on the Farewell Tour before he heads off to stud. Again, another one who really wants a dry track. Wet tracks are no good for this horse. He's been held back from those races. He was in the TJ, scratched from that, trialling well, and did run second in the 10,000 in Kingsford Smith last time in. And I've thrown in A Case of You for third. Really good Australian debut in the William Reid Stakes, and all of the data guys will tell you that it's the second best sprint this season in Australia outside of the TJ. He's going to run well again, and a bigger track probably suits.
Chuck.
Case of You on top again, going with a little bit of value for me.
Yep.
Matty, each way odds, really good run in the William Reid, and I think he'll be a horse going towards a Stradbroke that can have an impact. Private Eye's the one to beat, absolutely, for all the reasons Alex mentioned, and Rothfire getting up on speed, fitter second up.
I'm taking a set against Private Eye, so I'm going with A Case of You to beat Palele and Rothfire. So all your three mentioned, but third up at the distance, Private Eye, I think, is a bit of a risk on the weekend. That's it for the Group 2 racing at Eagle Farm. Stay with us because we're going to find the best bets at Rose Hill next.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.